All right, welcome everybody. Sundaze Season 3, Episode 4. First, quick shout out to our sponsor, Kicks of the Day, here in Plymouth, Massachusetts, where you can get all your rare, random, one-off shoes, snacks, cereals, trading cards, whatever you're looking for. Make sure you hit them up. Kicks of the Day, Plymouth, Mass, on Instagram. Thank you guys for the sponsorship. Also, Media by Diggs merch pre-sale up on the website now, as you can see there on the link. Click it till June 30th. Go and pre-order. Appreciate the support. Helps me pay for gas, pay for food. And well, if you haven't seen me, I'm a big fat guy, so I like my food. That's about it. We're not going into intros and stuff tonight. This is my first person in studio guest, my homie Chuck Reeves. Chuck, thank you for coming down and popping my cherry.
Diggs, I appreciate you having me in the store, in the studio, first in studio guest. I'm committed to going to shit. So as we go in the future, if there's a way I can be somewhere as opposed to being on the internet and being somewhere, I'm gonna try to be there in person. So I appreciate you having me, and the weird setup as you're not used to typically. So because I know you have a typical more front forward presentation and things.
Yeah, but it's good to break it up. I'm kind of liking the face to face. We're gonna have some good conversations tonight. If you guys don't know Chuck, the Beard Speaks is your show. Center Sundays was on his show on the millionth stream, I believe that was.
Yeah, was that the million streams extravaganza? That was last year.
Yep. So Chuck from there. All the beard competitions you might see out there, Chuck is rocking the beard, very fly, if you will. But yeah, Chuck. We've known each other for
each other.
Years.
Yeah, we've been kicking around the same circles since probably 2008. 2010 time frame.
Yeah,
you were kicking it with DRK and Scarecrow Hill real heavy.
Yep.
Shout out to Cryptic, who I know is going to catch this on the replay.
Yep.
He's another OG, and it was just a situation. It's been one of those situations where cream rises. I say that the great energies, they don't necessarily follow necessary circles. They just travel where they want to, and they intersect where they want to. And we were always just two people that just throughout the years we just
crossed paths.
Yeah, hey, what's up? Good to see
you.
There
was no bad blood between you and I. There was always we saw each other, handshake, whatever, and then to your point, when paths cross, they cross, and here we are.
No doubt. Yeah, it's been a little crazy. It's been definitely a crazy trip, but I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have survived it.
Yeah,
and it's nice to have a through line.
I appreciate you making the trip down from wherever you've been. I know you've been traveling a lot. We'll get into that. First and foremost, you took a little step back from the music scene, it seems like. We're from 656 Records and those guys out there. Shout out to them. They're a bunch of good guys. Any reasons why the step back? What's going on there?
No, we went on tour with Twisted back in the fall and hit a couple of dates, which was cool. And what I was witnessing firsthand was the switch from Twisted being what I grew up listening to and what I felt like I had a wheelhouse in, which was rap music.
Yep.
It's something I have no experience in, no wheelhouse in, and no knowledge to declare whether the art itself is good or bad. Rock music. I just don't have a desire to be in that wheelhouse.
Yep.
So, I helped those guys out, and then they've gone, and done bigger things. I know they hooked back up with Fury, and they're doing some huge things. I know Lethal Weekend just got announced, and it's
huge lineup.
Yo, the lineup's rivaling. Yo,
I was going to go into that later, but
yeah, I don't care what anybody has to say about me and whoever's passed over there at Lethal Weekend. The Lethal Weekend lineup, and I heard they're not done. I heard
really?
Yeah, I heard
there's still more coming.
Yeah, I heard there's a couple more smack you in the face jump offs coming. So that shit rivals The Gathering for sure after this weekend's announcement. But yeah, man, I'm glad, and that's definitely a combination. We know the work Fury does. We know what kind of a crazy grinder at any cost he is, and then I know Dylan personally is that exact same type of person, pretty much that grind at any cost. So they found the way. They're combining a bunch of cool stuff. I know they got Lloyd Banks on one night, which is dope like that. But that's another person who just throughout the years has been around Fury. I'm talking about, and just throughout the years has been involved in different levels with different folk, and you see him around the underground, and he's another one of these energies that just does what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. I saw the lineup for a Lethal Week, for the weekend, and I was like, geez, like even to the one last year where we're supposedly Shaggy's last solo.
Is that how they marketed that?
Yeah, it was, Shaggy came out and said it on stage, but we know how that goes. We know Psychopathic, we know the Clowns. from being around.
Who knows? Maybe they'll do Super Bowls. He can always just do something else. The guy's got 14 million aliases.
This is true. But that fucking lineup is so stacked. I mean, you got Gibby playing one night. Shaggy was a Bizarre, I think, is playing. It's just very
Gordy. Basically anybody that Fury has ever met or done business with, and I think almost everybody that Dylan's ever met or done business with
is playing.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of 656 influence over there, which I'm enjoying seeing. And I know it's a multiple day event and stuff. And I'm just real proud of all the work that's getting done on the underground post-pandemic.
Correct.
Any problems or friction I had with motherfuckers before the end of the world was supposed to devour us all, I find over because nobody ever hit me with a hammer. So... You know what I mean? Anything that's good, I'm keeping my mouth shut about the unfortunate aspects of the Gathering lineup. But I'm certainly going to be doing a special and sucking the dick of a lot of people over there who finally got main stage slots where they deserve.
Yep.
And even some people who got second stage slots finally after years of trying and submitting that, finally getting those deserved slots this year at the Gathering. Anybody doing good things, keeping this shit alive. Like
these are the opportunities that you strive to, as an underground artist, that you strive to get.
So it's not even like, okay, so you asked, did I take a step back? And like, clearly I didn't, because I'm still keyed in. I still know what's going on, and you'd be surprised the phone calls I still take. But as far as having a forward facing opinion on the business or personal moves of any artist right now, I don't have an opinion. And I haven't had an opinion since the fall. And that coincided with the death of my mom, pretty much. For the first time in my life, I've got nobody. So it was really, the show is only back because of what happened to me in my personal life recently. And the fact that I can't keep that off the internet. So I got to run some sort of interference.
Right.
I still wouldn't be on the internet. I still wouldn't be giving any opinion, good or bad. The few opinions I have had, that Hex record. I don't know if you're familiar with that dude.
I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
Ouija's latest signee on Chapter 17. His name's Hex. Fucking shit talks to me. Like, it's probably some of the best shit I've heard out of this genre of music in a decade. I made sure people knew about that. I made sure that when I heard the Trine record, which was months and months and months before I met Roxy Red for the first time, I made sure people knew how good that was, surprisingly. You know what I mean? And strangely enough, I had the same opinion as Joe Bruce. So it's not so much I took an active role and said, I don't need an active role. I had my active role.
Yep.
I had my influence. I can still influence and I don't have to do it in front of a camera. I can go be in front of somebody else's camera.
Yeah, that's for sure. So with that, you're also working on a project, Phantom Fun World.
Phantom Fun World. We are like 95% done with this film.
Now, is this your film? Is this something that you're just a part of?
So
how did this come together?
If the way the film business works, it's similar to the real life music business. And when I say real life music business, I mean corporate music business. The amount of money it takes to create, market, and then release a film in any degree at all, let alone like the way Hollywood does it, costs hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
So on the indie side, what you do is you get a bunch of like-minded people, one more influential than the other, the filmmaker himself. So I'm with the company Jonestown Films, my homie Tori Jones, and through Indiegogo, I was able to work out a deal with him where I get some points on this movie. I enter me and my company in a production capacity to assist as executive producer. I got a role, which was cool, which was announced a couple weeks ago. I play a character called Chainsaw Charlie. I saw that, which I'm excited for people to see more of, and like I'm pretty sure I'm going to get the opportunity to play with that some more before the movie comes out. It was one of those things where, same thing after my mom died, a bunch of weird coincidences happened and serendipities happened. And I ended up with the ability to get involved in the movie business in a genre that my mom loves, that my daughter has chosen, that she wants to try to get involved with as a profession.
Oh, nice.
So these were all things that it was like, oh, well, there's my opportunity. And I am the type to take a small opportunity and turn it into something large. And I mean, this one alone has yielded me. I have another project on deck in the film called Stream. And then I've, had auditions and things for other things coming down the pipe later. And then just what you learn. I was able to be on set for damn near 2 whole 14-day, weeks, like 2 whole weeks and full work days, full crew, seeing what goes on, seeing the special effects, seeing what, everything you need, even seeing some of the places we may have been lacking due to the independent nature of the film.
Right.
And just that sort of a knowledge, you can't even put a price tag on. So like, you invest a little and you get a lot back. I'm excited for everybody to see it. I'm excited for what's to come next. Tori's already sending me sketches of things he's working on.
Oh.
And I'm like, here we go. We're getting into the really scary stuff now. I mean, Phantom, my experience was awesome. As far as being a thespian, I'm not so much of a leading man. I'm more of a Rob Zombie character actor that pops in for one scene, steals the show, and then dies or kills somebody and disappears.
Yeah.
The real deal actors on this film, in L.C. Holt, who's like at this point, I've been the man behind a mask on a few films. These guys are bringing something to the table that I've never seen before in the darkest of horrorcore rappers. Wow. So coming from where we come from, and we've seen some of the, at least trying to be,
right,
the darkest, most depraved.
Exactly.
Bro, wait till you see my stage show, bro. You're gonna want to leave because it's fucking
exactly.
You know we've dealt with
this.
100%. And acting opposite L.C. Holt, one dude not saying a word, wearing a mask, and his ability to shut off what's behind his eyes and just be an empty vessel. It's the fucking scariest thing I've ever seen. And it didn't require, I'm going to stab you. I'm going to stab you. It didn't require musical accompaniment at all. Dead silence. You look at somebody like that as an actor. So being around the different types of artists now, I'm learning tons. Like it's like I'm 20 again, getting involved in rap music for the first time and having those stars in my eyes to some degree and belief in the art form still.
Get that little bit of that fire back to start doing it. And I can't imagine the knowledge and the things that you saw being on set, coming from me being a production guy, going to school for production, never got the opportunity to be on a full movie set. I've been on the TV sets and news sets and things like that, but to take in that knowledge and just sights of what's going on is priceless.
And it's a good way to get your foot in the door. If you're not somebody who comes through the typical pipeline of like a training program or already being involved in these circles of folk, almost the entire cast and crew on Phantom Fun World was Kentucky, Georgia based, except for me. These are not people I normally would have mingled with. These are people who would not have looked for me at these parts.
So did they look for you or did you reach out to them?
I reached out to them.
Yeah.
This was a situation with the Indiegogo, which there's still time. We're actually getting ready to enter our last week of our funding search to finish up some of the, the outdoor effects and some of the spit polish shit we got to do. We shot it in 4K. So the editing is going to be really a little more expensive than we're used to. We use those red cameras, which
those cameras
I got no idea, bro.
Sick.
I got no idea. There's a wizard in there taking pictures. I guess I don't know. Something's going on. And then they're doing something with the aspect ratio.
Okay.
Where it's going to look like Halloween.
Oh.
Where Carpenter kind of blurred and pulled the edges.
Yep.
He's doing that to add some depth of field. The first look trailer is available there, phantomfunworld.com. And you can pre-order the DVD, you can pre-order the Blu-ray. All these things are ways that you can get involved in an Indiegogo. I just got involved at a high level. You know what I mean? I called it a mixture of horror movie boot camp or a horror movie fantasy camp. Because I remember my dad paying 10 grand to go be a Met for a week in the summer. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I'll gladly pay what I paid to go be in a movie and have my name be on the poster.
Yeah.
And to be able to walk a red carpet and to be able to take this and utilize what I know from the underground music marketing department to throw this film on my back and tour this fucking thing like we would a record.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? And add some me in costume or like the filmmaker joining me or whatever it is. It's a growth industry, man. You see the fandom shit blowing up. You've been to these cons.
All the cons. I mean,
the next thing.
There's new cons popping up left and right now. We got Ice Nine Kills popping up in August with their new con coming up. So that'd be fucking fantastic.
Some of the stars of my next film are actually guests at I guess it's Silver Scream.
Silver Scream.
Yep, with I almost said Nine Inch Nails. With Ice Nine Kills. Strangely enough, brought to you by the people who brought to you Astronomicon.
That's you and I had a quick conversation about that.
From what I understand, so you're going to see some influence there. I don't think it's going to be directly marketed as such.
It's not, but you can see the special guests are.
Danielle Harris is in the movie Stream. That's with me. That's coming out later this year that we're not actually done with yet either.
Yep.
It's been funny seeing there's been so much crossover between the convention scenes and some of these movie things. I'm saying there's a large growth industry in horror right now. As far
it's
as
huge.
Because there's so many streaming platforms. Content is king.
It is king, and they're bringing in a lot of the same celebrities. Which for me, if you're going to a con, I want to see some different celebrities, people I haven't seen before. So like people from like the indie scene, like what you're doing, like bringing those kind of people.
That's harder.
It is.
Then you have to do more in terms of introducing, which was something, at least with Astronomicon, I tried to do with the digital content, the Astronomic Conversations, and Astronomic Confidential series that I created.
Okay.
Which was like 12 or 13 episodes of like, here's one of the guests, here's why you should give a shit. Because that's essentially what it is, because you're your average person, especially for something like Astronomicon that leans heavy on the Twisted's name. For example, I don't even know, like Peter Dante, people know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lay out everything he's done, people go, whoa, and then he gets a longer line. It's that sort of thing.
Right.
So it gets down to, how do you market people?
And marketing is king.
And who's cheap? Because I will tell you that working as closely as I did with Astronomicon, there were people that show up at places for free.
Really?
And I don't just mean Virgil. We've all heard the stories of Virgil from the WWE, or maybe you haven't.
No, I have not.
He will show up to a wrestling convention unfucking invited and set up a fucking table and start charging people.
That's the hustle.
That's the hustle, because literally, how much, if you've ever tried to get into a con, you know that a table typically costs money.
Correct.
So he's taking up space. So you have people that will come out for no guarantee, maybe some travel, maybe some hospitality. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then they just take what they make at their table, and then the convention gets a percentage.
Right. And
those are the people who do every convention, I'm sure. Because there's some people that are doing every con. Now, some of those people are doing great things, and they're doing new things. What's his name? I always can't think of his name. Officer Doofy.
From Super Troopers
movie. From Scary Movie.
Yep.
Okay. So when he does the con, he's great, because you get him as a guest.
Is that David Arquette?
No, it's not David Arquette. I can't remember his name, and I don't want to get in my phone. And I'm going to hurt myself because I like him a lot. He's a nice guy. I've interacted with him a few times. So he brings out the Officer Doofy character. Mm-hmm. So for the in costume photo op, you can get that. So that was the deal for a while. He was doing Doofy, and they brought out the fucking vacuum cleaner for him to fuck, and he's in his tighty whities, and he still looks the same, man. For being a late 40s, early 50s dude, he looks the same. Well, he was also Ghostface in all those movies. Nobody really knew that.
Okay.
So he has all the various masks from that movie. So he's got the without mask. So now this year, he's doing that as the fucking costume.
Gotcha.
So like he's changing it up. And the costume photo ops are a way people are changing it up. I'm seeing some real cool ones.
He's basically, if he's got multiple personas in different movies, that's what he's bringing out at different cons to keep it different.
But I've always wanted, for me, the cons, I enjoy like stuff that's structured. So things I always wanted to see, speaking of Peter Dante, was a Grandma's Boy reunion.
That'd be great.
Which, as far as getting people associated with the movie, it might be a little difficult because most of those guys blew up. But you can get the principals.
Right.
You can get the principals and Dr. Shakalu. And you have a mixture of a movie thing. It's like a mixed use convention. And I think that's where the entertainment thing as a whole is going. Mm-hmm. Because we're seeing that attendance rise.
Yep.
And attendance on live shows that are just music dwindle.
We're also not seeing a lot of live shows coming through our area. For me,
of a certain level, I guess. Yeah.
Like you're not seeing a lot of the bigger bands now coming through Massachusetts. They're all skipped. They're all going to Rhode Island, Connecticut. For whatever reason, they're not hitting the Worcesters or the Bostons like they used to. So to me, it makes me, twiddle my little brain of what's going on and why aren't they coming this way?
I don't know what happened to Worcester. I was thinking about this on the way here because you were deeply in the scene like I was, 2008, 2010, where the tech show would be fucking sold out.
You couldn't get a ticket.
With a fucking line to the DCU Center.
Wrapped around.
Of people ready to suck a dick for tickets.
Yep.
And now they're closing the upstairs and he's doing 70% downstairs. Did you go to the most recent show?
I did not.
I heard the upstairs was closed, downstairs was at 70%.
I had a few people that went to the show and they were like, it wasn't the same.
Now, post-COVID, are the people, are they aging out? And they're just not into that same experience anymore? Because he's still trying to offer that same experience he was offering 15, 20 years ago.
Right.
And, whatever, what have you, no growth, whatever. I don't know what it is. Is it because people don't want to stand there and watch shit anymore? I think that's might be what it is that people sat at home and watched shit for 2 years.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of the shit during COVID was all live stream, as you know. You did some of the live stream with MNE, with the
NetFest. NetFest was like huge for the underground. Everybody who did NetFest, everybody who did fucking CPN's version of NetFest, everybody who did either one of those had a huge year.
And I think a lot of the people now, one, I think they're scared to go to shows because of the whole COVID thing. I'm going to call it as it is. Two, ticket prices, I don't know what they are at the Palladium still. They're still roughly around the same, but those service fees, they rape you in the ass, regardless. And three, I just think I think to your point, he's not reaching out to that newer fan base. He's still trying to play off of the technicians, if you will, the juggalos that have been coming around.
Now, do you think they open the warehouse on a weekend and they bring in every strange artist, past, present, and future, or you know, the historic artists, and they set them up, and for $100 you can come to KC for the weekend, stay in a hotel, and during the day you can go to seminars, and meet these guys. I mean, 3/4 of their business is VIPs.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I mean, that's really how he's staying afloat. So people aren't paying the most for the show itself. The show just becomes a vessel to make the VIP available. People want
that meet and greet real quick. They want that handshake. They want the picture.
So if you can give them what Twisted's giving them, which is a weekend in a hotel, which is essentially a sleepover with them and a bunch of famous people, a convention, people are much more apt to attend those sorts of events. And that's where I see entertainment going as a whole.
Yeah. I think maybe to your point, bringing up the past strange artists, past, present, and future, or, you know, ones that are coming up, make it a real Strictly Strange tour, because they keep calling it the Strictly Strange tour, but it's always just tech and all them, you know. But I think if you can get them all on one bill, that might bring a little bit of fans back to sell out a Palladium.
Yeah, it's hard though.
It's
hard though.
It is, because no matter what, when people say they don't have beef when they leave a label, there's some sort of animosity.
And then nostalgia only gets you so far.
Yeah,
because we saw that with, and I mean, I was guilty of making a joke too. The Blaze, was it King Spade? No. Subnoise Soldiers. I don't know. It's not 2002. I know that.
Right.
And that was that's when you should have did that. Now you didn't, but I remember 2002. And when I saw that tour, I was like, oh, that would have been dope in 2002.
Yeah.
That's a sellout everywhere it goes. And it didn't look very good to me, like attendance wise. I just think that things need to be looked at that are more experience influenced, especially with certain bands.
You also got to look at too, there's a lot of festivals going on now, as opposed to when you and I were going to shows back in the early 2000s. There's a festival there. So I guess you can also say that if I'm going to pay $200 for a ticket, I'm going to go see 3 days and see 45 bands. I'm not going to pay $200 to go see the Clowns when I can go see them.
You're old enough to remember this. What would the board at Strawberries look like?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
in this day and age, with the amount of shit going on that we need tickets for.
Yep.
Like they used to be that you 6, and that's your next 5 months.
Exactly. Now you need like a wall. This
it'd be the thing from racetrack. Like, it's washed out. Like the pure get a stage, have them do music. It gets washed out. The conventions are getting a little washed out too.
Yeah, I can see that. But I see a lot of the lost ticket sales and lost sellouts going to these big festivals where these same bands are playing. I mean, look, was it the Blue Ridge Rock Fest?
Mm-hmm.
You got Twisted and the Clowns, and you've got 3 days of
other stuff
going on.
Cube and Jelly Roll,
exactly,
and stuff that abuts that fan base anyway. So that ticket's a far better investment, especially for me, than going to the gathering.
Exactly.
So I might end up there.
Are you gathering this year?
I was on the fence about it, and then I was going to go.
I knew you made a post about going.
I was going to go, and then we'll see. We'll see where things are.
Yeah,
it won't be a last minute decision. I have some friends that are in some places there, and I've been given assurances I'm straight.
Yeah,
like as far as from higher ups.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still some fucking crazies out there.
Oh, of course,
that are holding grudges from 3 years ago.
Probably more than 3 years ago.
If you mentally ill out there and you holding a grudge, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I didn't want nothing that happened recently to happen either. That's the other thing. Is like, we're going to see where that's at, because that shit fucking flexes every day. Like, by then the Dateline episode might be out. I don't know.
So let's go into it. Let's talk about it. And we brought it up. I mean,
fucking,
CPN, I don't know of him. I've never heard of him until the shit that went down with you.
Really? You had never heard of him?
Never heard of him.
Okay,
as deep into the scene as I was and you are, I had never heard of this guy.
No, that's the thing. I hadn't heard of him either until I heard of him. And then once you hear of him, it's like bed bugs. You can't really get him out of your house.
And you can't stop looking like what's going on next.
No, not even that, because I was able to cut him out of my existence for a long time, and it led to my betterment. And we'll get to that. So, before I was Juggalo Chuck, I was New England Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
And if I thought something was funky, I was not shy.
No,
raising my fucking hand and saying shit's funky, and then saying I got another way. Let's do it this other way. And that's just kind of been my career. Whether it was on FM radio, whether it was the Hobson thing, whether it was Joyner Lucas, whether it was Stitches, I've had a lot of negative interactions with people throughout the years because of this business.
Yep.
And I've paid with my body. I was telling you, even on a small level, if I said the wrong thing about the wrong person, you can get punched in the fucking mouth.
Yep.
That's fine. That's fine. So I get involved in the internet game around 2017 because of Juggalo stuff. And this was a long time coming, because we know some people locally who were involved in some Juggalo stuff online, and they had been pushing me for a long time. You're good at it. And I didn't know where the internet was going.
Right.
So I kept saying, that's for trash people. I have an FM radio show. That used to be and now it's reversed. If you have an FM radio show, it's kind of like, who's listening to that?
Right.
Like, do cars even come with those anymore? What's an FM radio? Like, is that one of those ones I can call fucking truckers on? I've never even heard of that before. So I go to the internet and I get involved with two things specifically in regards to Psychopathic Records. One being the Will Sigler situation, which was their involvement with a convicted child rapist. Right. And then the second thing being the march itself, which the Juggalo March for Civil Rights. I thought it was BS. I thought it was a marketing ploy.
Oh, in my eyes too. And
I dumbed down my message. I certainly did dumb down my message because I thought I had to for those people. But my message overall was self-responsibility. It's your fucking fault. If you got your kids taken, it wasn't because Juggalo. It was because meth. And then they added Juggalo when you got to court. One of the people that I got familiar with was Child's Play Ninja. And his name's Reeves from Arizona. He's one of these internet people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, while he was in his 20s, he was doing Juggalo videos on YouTube. I had never heard of this kid. In my 20s, I was in the military and living a life and getting divorced and stuff like that.
Right.
So I don't know this person, but he's got tons of shit to say about me and my opinion on the march. So me and him start interacting.
Is that what started the interaction?
Yeah,
was
for sure.
Because of the march?
What really started the interaction was 5 years ago. He said some fucking sexual shit about my daughter at 9 years old. Which it's good. That's going to circle back.
Oh, I know it is. I saw that part.
Because people like to forget that one. So we have some famous fucking, at the time, he's got 10,000 subs on YouTube. I got 0.
Yeah.
Essentially. Or 1,000. So I was, this gotta be good for me. I'll argue with this fat shit.
It's publicity.
Yeah. So we're arguing, and it's Twisted versus ICP. That's how it's being marketed, which it was never that. It was me talking about dumb shit I thought was happening, and him calling me the F slur and fucking attacking my baby mama. And like, essentially, he's one of those guys. Like, it's part troll, part narcissist, whatever.
Part internet thug.
So we tangled for a while online, and various troll shit happened. During that time, I got familiar with a girl named Roxy Red, who's a singer, whose name is also Laura King. Laura. I always pronounce her name wrong, except I just think it's because of where I'm from. She's a nice lady, I found out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, she was the keynote speaker of the Juggalo March.
No shit.
Multiple time DUI, who didn't have her license, who was complaining that they had gang designated her for probation. And my argument was, why are you drinking and driving so much, lady?
Right, exactly. Like, come on.
Call a cab. Like, that was my deal.
You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes.
So that put her in my purview and his purview, because we were both covering the march, and he went to the march and I didn't. And I became Juggalo enemy number 1 because of my fucking attitudes about the march.
Yeah.
Because the march, in some ways, and what I was afraid of, would give truly evil people within our community a shield. to hide behind by using this word, by using our symbologies and saying, "Oh, I'm just a juggalo. I'm not a bad person." Okay. This goes on for a number of years. Me and him having arguments about stuff, and like him going way overboard. By his own admission, he'd always take it one step too far. That was one of the first things he ever said to me. We found out. We've been looking back at the catalog. This is 7 years worth of internet video. This is like some Tiger King level shit if you really break it down. So let's fast forward to about 2019, 2020. The first Astronomicon had been announced.
Have you ever, before the first Astro, ever had a face-to-face interaction with him?
We had never met.
Okay.
We had never met. I hadn't met her yet. Like, that's the thing. Most things on the internet, you don't meet these people. Now, people from here had met him.
Okay.
At the gathering and had interactions with him and been like, "Look, man, you don't know Chuck."
Right.
Like, we do.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're 6'2", 400 pounds to Chuck. Chuck does not care. Chuck is stupid, which is true. To some degree, I'm an idiot. But nonetheless, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. And I started to notice after the march, he became very vocally the leader of something called the Juggernaut. And you know how I feel about your New England juggalos, fucking Rhode Island, these subsets that are typically just designed to market either merchandise or somebody particular's music to a group of people who don't know any better.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not what the Juggernaut was. Might have been what it started out as, but they very quickly started like harassing people online and like causing real harm to folk. And then the DCG Con thing happened where Psychopathics Gaming Convention in Denver got busted up by like a gang. And then the responding gang was the Juggernaut, and CPN admitted to calling Denver police and telling them that I was there and that I was ringleadering the attacks, even though I was in Massachusetts. So all these things started happening. And I started thinking to myself, like, man, these are some truly like deficient folk. Like, I can't win. I'm not going to win.
Right.
I'm going to get trapped or hurt or something. So I made the very like adult decision with the help of Magic Ninja Entertainment to start doing more entertainment stuff. The Astronomicon stuff, the Astronomic Conversation stuff, the Astronomic Confidential stuff, me just going out and trying to get movies, like things like that, things that I wouldn't have never have thought of.
Yep.
Magic Ninja put me in a place with Astronomicon that made those goals visible for the first time in my life. Like sometimes you get to a crest in a hill and you see something, you go, "Oh, I didn't even know it was there." Like it's right there. Well, shit. Now, you know what I mean?
Did Magic Ninja help you with this because of what's going on with at this time with CPN?
Oh no, we'll get to that because we're not even there yet.
Okay.
So I kind of stopped dealing with him. I stopped doing content that abuts things he's going to talk about. I'm trying not to piss him off. Now that doesn't stop him from talking about me.
For sure, of course.
And towards the end of me dealing on internet at all this fall, he was talking about I was his greatest living adversary, and I was the only person that had ever deserved his energy or respect. Whatever, man. Cool. I'm the main character in your story. Nice. By then, we had some conversations again, and they were all good. Like the last 3 years, especially after the NetFest, and then he did his own version.
Yeah,
I respected him for that. I respected his lady for that. During that period of time, he got married to the girl Roxy Red even.
Okay.
So he's got a hot wife who's in the public eye, and he's happy. And it's like, all right, man, go do you. Cool. I'm over here doing me. We ain't fucking with each other no more. Cool. That was, during the pandemic. We're coming out of the pandemic. I start going to stuff again. It started with me coming in 4th at the National Beard and Mustache Competition in Scranton, PA in September. My mom died. That sucked. October was Atlantic City. I went to Atlantic City to do movie stuff at the fucking horror convention there.
Yep.
Because that's the other thing. Now I go to conventions at least once a month too. Astronomicon opened up that world to me, something I didn't know about. Go do that. Get involved with this other movie. Some more beard shit. That brings us to say April of this year. Was it April? Yeah, it was April. April 22nd. Chuck was in Richmond, Virginia to compete in the Mid-Atlantic Beard and Mustache Championships put on by the Richmond Beard League.
Yep.
By this time, CPN and his wife, Roxy Red, had very publicly broken up.
Okay.
And he had called the cops on her in February on his live stream, and they had this huge blow up. And since then, he had been going live on his YouTube show trashing her. But they lived in Richmond. But he had moved. When they broke up, he moved to Michigan.
Right.
So I had never met this lady. And I was like, at the very least, I probably owe her an apology for making her public at all, like kind of, and putting, you know, her on his radar like I did.
Right.
Because in the end, it really sucked for her. Get in touch with her through some friends. I invite her for drinks. April 22nd, we see each other for 4 hours. 4 hours. It was like the mixer for the fucking beard thing. Me, her, and her roommate Josie. Everybody hits it off. Good conversation and shit. Yeah. Cool.
No beef.
No beef. And that was the thing. Like, I had conversations with CPN in the fall and stuff, and I was like, look, man, the war's over. Like, when it comes to the ICP thing, when it comes to the twisted thing,
yeah,
I don't even refer to that as a war anymore, because you have, excuse me, that Faygo is delicious.
Cotton candy.
You have to have somebody who gives a fuck. And in the end, one of the people or one of the parties involved in the war, they didn't give a fuck. So how much of a fuck am I supposed to give? Like, so the war's over. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like the sheepdog and the wolf at the old Hanna-Barbera check.
Yep.
See you tomorrow, Dave.
Yep.
See you tomorrow, Bob. We all play our fucking roles in all things.
For sure.
So I played my role, whatever it is. So all that shit's over. No beef. I come back here and we're talking on the phone and texting and stuff. And it's not sexual or anything weird, but it's about her career and it's about Trine and what she's working on with, you know, Rose. And it's her worried because he's moving back to Virginia. Well, why the fuck is he moving back to Virginia? He doesn't have any friends there. He doesn't have any family there. She doesn't know, but she was expressing some worry about it. And she's like, look, if you're going to come back and hang out with me, we should probably do it soon as to not possibly agitate him. Now, mind you, it was majority not romantic or sexual, but I had enough in my phone already that if I wanted to pull that dude's heart out of his chest, I could have did it with an Instagram post.
From stuff that she has told you?
From stuff that we had been talking about, like just the fact that we were friends.
Right.
Now, me and her were very openly talking about, this is for us. No pictures. No checking in on the internet. This is not about clout for me. I'm not trying to destroy this dude's emotional state. His misery does not put money in my pocket. That's something that I kept repeating to myself.
Right.
No matter what he did to me, no matter what he did to me, no matter what he did to others, me getting revenge on him doesn't help me. Okay. So for a month we talked, and any of those conversations made public probably was enough to probably embarrass him to want to do what he ended up doing anyway.
Right.
So I go down there to Richmond to visit her, to visit other friends. I had weekend tickets to a place called King's Dominion, which I used to go to when I was a kid.
Okay. I
still didn't get to use them because I got hit with a fucking hammer. But so I get there on a Wednesday. I have my own hotel. I'm not staying with her. She's working. So like while she's working, I'm driving Uber Eats. I was telling you about the Uber Eats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like it's a way for me to travel and work at the same time. So like I'm driving Uber Eats, waiting for her to get off work and stuff. And you know, those are my days, hanging out with people. I saw Godsynth. While I was down there, I got to see his studio set up and his house and stuff. You know, I had met his family at Astronomicon. They're real nice. I have a lot of Navy friends down there.
Yeah.
So this was a complete multi-use weekend. So Thursday, me and her go out to breakfast. While we're out to breakfast, she's ignoring his text messages. He broke into her apartment. When we got back, she noticed his truck parked outside, or his van.
Yeah.
And she was like, he's here. And I just dropped her off. She didn't want him to know she was hanging out with anybody of a male persuasion, let alone me specifically.
Right.
Because he was already exhibiting like escalating behaviors.
Okay.
So this video is actually on YouTube already. He videotaped himself in her apartment illegally.
By himself.
Explaining to whoever was listening, probably just for his own narration, how she hadn't been answering the phone and she was supposed to be at work, but she's clearly lying. So he was going to go over there. And like, it shows him like, you know, and then when he realizes she's at the door, he like hid from her so he could pop out on her and scare her and shit. And they had a really abusive interaction. This is all on YouTube. You go,
I've seen some of the clips.
I can't watch shit. So that was Thursday.
And this is him coming back from Michigan.
He had been back like a week, but he didn't live with her. Yeah. He hadn't lived in that apartment for 4 months. He was never on the lease. He wasn't on the lease. Ever.
Okay.
He had his own place. He moved 4 miles from her when he came back. Like, no friends, no family. You move 4 miles away from your ex-wife. I mean, I'm not at this point. People can make their own goddamn fucking determinations because I'm sick and tired of doing it. So that was Thursday. So we call the cops, or I encourage her to call the police. Because at this point, I'm like, yeah, he's escalating.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
That's nuts.
Like, and here, if you were to go to your estranged wife's residence and you're not on the lease, and she found you in her place, what happens to you?
I get arrested.
Yeah, they don't do that there. Virginia's a weird place, man.
Okay.
Okay, and it's scary. It's fucking scary. Because I had her call the police, and they come and they take a report, and they're like, "Well, that's your husband."
Are they still legally married?
Yeah,
at this point?
but he's not on the lease there, and like, it turns out they interpret the law wrong anyway, which I'll get into later because I'm being told he's having charges added later on, but they're waiting till later on. So they won't do anything. Like, they took a report, they wouldn't do anything.
They didn't bring him out. They didn't.
They didn't even tell him. They didn't even tell him we called. No, he had already left and shit. Like, this was.
Oh, okay.
Like, it took me hours to convince her that he had done something that was wrong. Because this poor girl is so fucking abused. Like, it took me hours, right? And it took me several calls to like the women's shelter, which they're useless down there too. But until something happens, once some shit happens, it seems like they pick up the pace. Right. But some shit's got to happen.
Now, at any point right now, while you're talking to her, trying to convince her, are you there with her, or are you?
No, you know, like when he was there and I dropped her off, I went and did Uber Eats. That became like my safe space. And then when he left, she called me. I came back.
Okay.
You know what I mean? She was really upset and shit.
Yeah.
So whatever. And then they suggested going and getting two things. They suggested going and getting a protection order, which the process for that down there is crazy because you got to go see the same magistrate person that signs like search warrants and fucking arrest warrants and like with the cops, and it's clearly in the jail in like a jailhouse setting. It's not like a courtroom. It's not friendly at all. And this poor girl's in
fucking intimidating right there.
Yeah, and like it's not for fucking victims at all. But you have to go in there. She's got to go by herself and convince this fucking dude she needed one. Well, I quote from the magistrate: "The state of the Commonwealth of Virginia does not recognize domestic abuse in any form besides actual violence."
Really?
Dead fucking serious.
Bro. So any kind of psychological or verbal or anything like that, they're like, fuck that, we're not going after it.
When it no longer was the Confederate capital of the United States, and they were like, shit, we can't oppress black people, they just scratched out black and wrote women above it.
Jesus Christ.
Like straight up. So they wouldn't, so that was Friday. They wouldn't issue her a protective order. I finally watched like her video of the break-in. He knew somehow hacking her iCloud or something that she was talking to somebody named Charles, because that's how I am on the phone.
Charles.
Now he hadn't figured it out that it was me, because my thing was, had he figured it out, that's like finding out your mom's a fucking alien, like for sure. Like the idea that your greatest living adversary was hanging out with your old lady in any form or fashion,
right?
Platonic or otherwise. And we understood that. That's why we had been doing such care to try to keep it from everybody, not just him. Nobody fucking knew. No one knew. And that would have been hot news. That would have been some fucking hot news, right? So Friday, we get back in the afternoon, and at the advice of battered women's advocate people, she texted him and was like, "Look, I don't want you here. You're not welcome in my house anymore. We legally don't do shit, apparently." Right. But at least she's creating more of a paper trail. At this point, it was like, create a paper trail.
You have to.
Because he's gonna stab someone. Like he was O.J. Simpsoning, like right in front of us. Like that's what I saw. And I told the cops that shit. Like I can't wait for all these fucking chest camps to come out. Because what you're going to see out of me is somebody who was totally frustrated with the police. Who was like, look, bro, if I would have known you guys wouldn't have done shit, I would have just taken care of it myself. And I would have washed it out later. Like we would have washed it out later. But like I thought this was the right thing to do, and you people won't do your jobs. So Friday,
you do what we were taught to do as kids: is when shit goes wrong, to call the police because they're supposed to be
the husband and wife thing. Because I'm divorced. Like I know what the worst case scenario is. I've been trying to give him advice before this second trip down to Richmond. I had talked to him on the Boy Blues live stream and told him, "You need to cool the fuck out with all the crazy shit on the internet, or she's going to take you to the fucking cleaners."
For sure.
And then he called her and told her what a great guy I was to call him and give him such sound advice, not knowing that we were talking in the background.
Gotcha.
So which one is it? But nonetheless, so that happens. And then Friday, he hacked her Wi-Fi box while I was at the apartment.
How do you hack a Wi-Fi box?
He knew the address.
The IP?
So he was able to go in through the MAC address and like bang it that way. So my phone was connected to her fucking Wi-Fi box. So all of a sudden she's getting messages. He's there, isn't he? Charles, or should I say Chuck, So she's fucking nervous. I'm nervous. I get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
I go deliver Uber Eats for a couple hours because I don't want him rolling up and seeing Rhode Island tags, and then I'm done.
Right.
Like, finally, he would have been, at some point, he was going to put 2 and 2 together. So I leave, I come back. He's changed her Wi-Fi password to "fuck you, bitch," and locked her out, and like basically told her, I know all of Charles's information, which was a lie. Because the minute he found out it was me, we knew it was like gonna explode, whatever. So that night, I was like, well, fuck, he's too close to finding out on his own. Like, I have to make sure I'm the one who tells him, because if I'm not,
right,
then he's gonna fucking find out, keep it to himself, and probably be out here in the bush later on.
Right.
So I went on a program called The Bartle Boss and the Dead Guy Show that CPM was being interviewed on, and I said some things. I said there was a minute of me talking, and in that 58 seconds, I let him know that I was aware of what he had been doing, that I was the guy Charles, and that I was in town without telling anybody else.
Right.
And if anybody's seen that 58 seconds of dialogue, it's literally like, hey, man, great interview. I would have been here an hour ago, but somebody changed my Wi-Fi password. And then like I let that sit for a second with him.
Yep.
And then I was like, but now I'm here. Can't wait to hear the rest of the story. I hope all your wildest dreams come true. Love, Charles.
Okay.
And then I let that sit with him for a second. And then I showed like the wall in back of me. And then I logged out.
Then the wall being in her apartment?
Yeah, I was sitting on her couch.
Okay.
Nobody knew what the fuck any of that meant but him. And he went off the deep end, started telling everybody that I was at the house and that we were fucking, and that I was trying to set him up to go to jail. Giving up the whole thing. Hacking the Wi-Fi box, being in her apartment on Thursday, like just fucking copping to everything.
Everything.
So I implore those guys, by the way, Bartle Boss and the Dead Guy, they restored most of the CPN interview.
Oh, really?
Until I showed up. They need to restore the rest, because I haven't seen the rest. I don't know how far off the deep end we went, but we didn't say anything like that. Mm-hmm. Nobody, there was not any indication prior to that moment to anyone that me and her were hanging out.
Okay.
So he starts freaking out that we're hanging out, yakety yak. I put out a video that's directly contradicting that on my own channel, where I was like, that's crazy talk. Why would he say that?
Right.
Because I'm trying to give him a parachute, man. Like I said, Raya's misery is not my payday.
Right.
So I'm still trying to give homeboy a fucking umbrella, a parachute, whatever. I went on another show and popped up from my hotel alone. Man, that's fucking crazy talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hanging out with his wife. I'm not spending time I'm not fucking his wife. That's crazy. Why? I'm still trying to give him an out. Mind you, he's shifted from telling everybody his business to now he's doing suicide streams. So it sounds like he's all zannied out.
Jesus.
And that's Friday night going into Saturday, all day Saturday. During the day on Saturday, the Henrico Police Department made contact with him at home 3 times.
Okay.
People calling about checks.
Suicide checks.
Yep. Every time they came to the door, he would talk normal. And then he would come back to the microphone and be like, the police told me to just do the fucking thing if I was going to do it. And you people need to quit calling. Like, it was that sort of shit.
Sounds like that fucking skit from the fucking...
And then you'd hear him at the door. You'd hear him fine. Talking to fine. I don't know what they're talking about. That's crazy. Like, all right. So that was Saturday. By Sunday, he's back to his ornery self. And now it's abuse his wife and abuse Blase Rose. But not just abuse them. Professionally slander and libel them. Like, release tracks that were never meant for public ears. This supposed Violent J diss track he released that Blase Rose wrote in a moment of anger.
Wow.
He released an abortion record, supposedly paid for with a Psychopathic Records recording, with a Psychopathic Records like corporate credit card. Like, he was dumping the contents of a hard drive that he had stolen during the Thursday break-in.
Jeez. So
I'm out driving Uber Eats. She's at work. Unbeknownst to her, I had his address because she had given it to me. She did, because she had to go over there for something, and she was afraid.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, she was afraid she wasn't going to come home. She was like, look, if you don't hear from me by 2 a.m., this is where I had to go to see him, the new place. I don't know where it is. First time she had to go over there, she was super nervous.
I would be too.
Yeah. So, like, that's how I had the address. So during the day, I was maybe 6 miles from his house. I fucking logged out of my Uber Eats on my last delivery and said, I'm going to just pop over there. and like talk to him face to face, because we had good interactions online, and we hadn't had a bad interaction online in more than 3 years. Now, you can say whatever you want about the 58 seconds, but if he looked at it from the correct perspective, I was not trying to fucking set him on fire, and I could have. I could have showed up on that interview with his wife in my lap.
Right.
What hurts him more? What gets me more subscribers? What puts me on the map more? Helping him? Trying to give him parachutes every step of the way, or embarrassing him? Nobody wanted that from him. So Sunday, I drive over there. I'm not live streaming or anything. He's live streaming. I pull up at his apartment.
Does he know you're coming at this point?
I see. I thought he did, because I had said in the comments, I'm coming over. Like, not in a threatening manner. I just said, I'm coming over.
Coming over.
And then I was like, I'm 5 minutes away, 4 minutes away, 3 minutes away. And I was like, I'm 1 minute away. And then I said, do you hear the beeps? And I was outside beeping the horn. You hear on his... This is the thing. Everything I'm about to tell you after this is all online. So, he comes out. He comes running out with no phone. He left his phone inside. Okay, first of all, somebody who likes to live stream everything left his phone inside for some reason or another. But he grabbed a hammer and he ran out into a public parking area of this complex, and approached my car. Now, at that point, we had an interaction for about 40 seconds where I tried to talk him down. Where I was like, look, man, you're going to fucking jail. And I was talking about, like, for the break-in Thursday.
Right.
And I'm like, bro, you're going to jail. I'm just here to tell you you're going to jail. And if you continue going down this path, you're going to keep fucking up. You're going to go to jail for worse shit. Like, I'm trying to talk him down.
Right. Oh, I get it.
He's swinging the hammer, telling me, get the fuck out of the car. Get out here. Get out here. And I finally got to a point where I know when dealing with dudes, especially in the military, sometimes you got to say something shocking to shock them out of shit. And I knew this guy thought I was fucking his wife. So I grabbed my phone, and because I wanted to establish and have video of how close he was to my vehicle with the hammer.
Yeah.
And I grabbed that, and I started screaming at him, I'm fucking your wife.
Are you still in the car? Or are you out of the car?
Still in the car. I was still in the car at this point. Now, Raya's got a history of attacking people in vehicles with weapons. That's all on YouTube, too. So that was probably dumb of me as well. But also, I'm scared. And I guess when I'm scared, my fucking default setting is talk shit.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
that next hour of video is some of the funniest shit talk I've ever had in my life. So he had gotten so close to the car that I couldn't even open the door all the way. But at this point, I still thought I could talk him down. Like, why would you want to hit me with a hammer? Like,
what's that going to do?
Like,
besides get you in jail?
Yeah, you had moved away for 4 months. You're telling everybody who will listen on the internet how disgusting your wife is and how your relationship's over. Like, I'm trying to help you save your life, not your marriage, bro. Fuck your marriage. Your marriage is over.
Right.
Okay, I'm here because nobody else, you have no friends in the state. And everybody who claiming to be your friend is in the comment section of your YouTube videos, egging you on. Like, everybody who claims to be his friend was in the YouTube videos telling him, like, that he was right in what he did next. He hit me with the fucking hammer. Right upside the head, right upside the temple. Now, it didn't do a lot. And it's because he's a big, uncoordinated fucking goon, A. B, I was able to get close enough to him when I got out of the car, and he was so close to the car already that when I got out, we were too close for him to get a good swing.
So no momentum coming at you.
So he kind of did one of these instead. But he got me right here. Fucking thing hits the ground. I secure it. We have some interactions where I invited him to finish the fight out in the street. He refused to leave his porch for a while. He continued to talk shit. He threatened me with homies that were coming. All this crazy shit. So I basically told him, I'm gonna call the cops, man. Like, at this point, you've been trying to use the law against people for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time for me to call the cops. Now, I hadn't decided what I wanted to do yet. So I drove back to her apartment, and she was standing there, Roxy, with 2 police officers. Now, she was trying to report the theft of the hard drive. But again, they were explaining to her that anything that was in her apartment is his as well, because of this weird...
Because they're married?
Yeah, because they're married.
Even though he's not on the lease. Their laws are so they're that fucked up.
We're getting there. We're getting there, because I think at this point, I know the cops they interpreted the law wrong at several instances. So I'm listening to this, and I looked at them, and I'm like, you're not going to help this fucking lady? And they're like, we can't. And I looked at them, and I said, tell everybody I'm the one who snitched. And I proceeded to tell them I got hit with a hammer, and I had the assailant on video, and the assailant was still on YouTube. And by that point, he was celebrating and calling himself Hammer Daddy. and like reenacting it over and over again each time, the boasting getting weirder and weird. You know what I mean?
So fucked.
He called his wife's fucking dad, who I had dinner with 2 nights before.
To say what? To say that he beat you with a hammer? To fucking showboat it?
Like, I don't know. Like, you have to understand, at this point, we've now entered into the world that I don't get any of what happens next. Like, I have nothing. So they see the video. After a while, I get in the ambulance because they're like, fucking Bob Saget. And I was like, yeah, Bob Saget. So like I went to the hospital for like a CT scan and shit. Because even though he didn't hit me hard, man, like,
but still a hammer hit.
But then I also got a fucking noggin. Like I also got a hard head. Like I got my ass beat. So like it's like I always say, like, I'm not afraid of getting my ass beat. So I go to the hospital. I watch him get arrested on his live stream. It's still up. It's still available for you to see. And instead of saying, I'm not going to talk to you, Fifth Amendment, he fucking proceeds to brag. And this dude thought he was completely in the right.
And are they pulling him out of his place at this point?
Not even pulling him out. He went out there on his own. Hey, can I hold my phone? And live streamed the whole.
What?
Would you like to tell us what happened? For sure. And he proceeds to lie. And then they're like, we watched it. You want to try again? And then like he again. And then they're like, well, all the things you're saying you said, you didn't say. Like, you can't taunt him.
Right.
Then hit him. Then run. Then taunt him some more from the safety of your house.
And then cry wolf.
And then tell us that you didn't do anything wrong. That's so essentially it. So they get him on a malicious wounding, which is like a fucking, it's a higher class felony than an attempted murder in Virginia, which I didn't know till later.
Okay.
And then the assault and battery or whatever the fuck. They take him away. I'm like, all right, cool. They're not going to give him bail on that because they're not supposed to. Because through their own fucking Virginia section laws, they're not supposed to give somebody bail on that. It's an unbailable offense.
It makes sense.
For whatever reason, they gave that dude bail. Not only did they give him bail, they gave him unsecured PR. So here we go. We are fully in the fucking Twilight Zone now. He doesn't, I mean, he goes home. He went home in an Uber, right? And then he did two things. He made a phone call, and that phone call was like via the Discord app to a couple of YouTuber scumbag pieces of fucking shit.
Yeah. Who
I'm going to see sooner or later. And then he Googled VA spousal rape law loopholes.
Oh, Jesus.
This was at 2:19 a.m. Now, I'm in the living room of Roxy's apartment with her and her roommate giving an interview with some unrelated live stream.
Which I did see this.
Talking about everything, kind of keeping it light and fluffy and shit or whatever. And this dude live streams himself returning to her apartment and committing a home invasion. Then attempting to pick a fight with me. When I wouldn't bite, he attacked his wife. And then we see the rest. That's the short version because I know you guys can watch it online. Watching it online, it's way more entertaining than hearing it out of my mouth.
Right.
But thankfully, they revoked his bond. He's in jail. But like this fucking shit continues. Like I'm expecting to get a notification that he's calling YouTube from jail again for the 4th straight week.
Well, also during that, when he broke back in with the home invasion, that's also when he threatened your daughter again.
Yeah, we've got 3 angles on that. I don't know what the fuck they're going to be able to do about that. They kept telling me they're trying to find a way to charge him. And I'm like, well, with what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is somebody who's not stupid.
Right.
He was trying to use whatever knowledge of the law he did have to snag somebody who was smarter. I wasn't going to let him snag me. Like, now I have an intent on keeping him in jail, at least so he can't fulfill on that threat that he made that night. Like, that's where I'm setting my minimum if they want to talk to me about shit because it's on camera. Right. But then, like, since he's been in jail, even, they haven't been able to control him further abusing me and his wife through his juggalo subset special ed class of people that some of them are like admittedly mentally deficient or mentally disabled, or I mean, some of these people, I don't know. Like, I don't know where these people came from. Like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone.
That is,
like I said, I got to go back to court on that on the 12th. I got to go down to Virginia and testify. Like, and that's the other thing is like, here you go and you get arraigned,
right? And
then you do hearings and stuff or whatever, but they'll just pile charges on you. They're not apt to do that. So you get arrested on something, And then during that period of time, you have to have warrants issued, which require other steps. And then certain crimes get assigned to certain courts. And none of them are and none of them work together. And if you combine them while you're talking, they get mad. Like they fucking hate each other. So right now, they got him on the 2 crimes from the hammer attack, and then the only crime on the second attack they got him on is an assault and battery on me
for the second break-in.
Yeah, but now that they have the lease and they know he wasn't on it, there's an intention to hit him with a illegal entry from Thursday,
which that should have been addressed right then and there. The first point, you first call the cops. Hey, he broke into my house. He's not on the lease. Yes, we're married, but
because there's also a circumstance exists where if you're getting divorced for somebody and you're on a lease with them, you can file for what's called a right of sole usage, right?
Mm-hmm.
She had gone and tried to get one of those, and they wouldn't give it to her because he's not on the lease. So then the police said, you don't have a right of sole usage. We can't arrest him.
But he broke in.
Now that they have the fucking lease and the lawyers have it and the cops don't, that's different. But because now that's a domestic crime, right? That crime is supposed to get assigned to family court.
Okay.
But that makes this harder. So they're waiting now because they have enough. Basically, they got warrants for the three charges they got him on now. He's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I've been assured of that. 7/12, I go to fucking testify. It should be an open and shut. There's enough here to send it to the grand jury. The minute that happens, they're going to bury that fucking dude in felonies.
Thank God.
Because at that point, those charges then don't have to go through a magistrate process for a warrant, nor do they have to go to their assigned courts. Every crime he committed within a 72-hour period on either side can be considered part of a single criminal conspiracy. So I don't know what happens in the end, but we're going to find out. This is going to be a long process, man. And with all the stuff that's already on the internet and the stuff that's going to continue to go, I mean, this is like Tiger King without animal abuse plus juggalos, and nobody wants to help. Magic Ninja wants nothing to do with this. That's been made clear to me. Entities around them don't want anything to do with this. I was offered a UGH hosting spot that was later rescinded.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of this?
Because of that. Well, no. It was offered because of this, which I found funny. And then when somebody talked to somebody else,
I gotcha.
It was just never talked about again. I've contacted them to try to help me with CPM before. Legally speaking, they were the ones that had the most solid ground to stand on.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, they didn't want to take care of the problem. They just wanted to talk about him, which fucking turned him into a worse monster than he was already. And
right.
They said his name more times than they said mine, for sure. And that's just the way that is. So whatever, I'm ready to go it alone. My thing is I'm worried about her because he's been able to lie to get things overturned. There's a whole case with her that I'm not even involved with. That's the other thing he's got to deal with. He's got to deal with the case that she now has on him.
Right.
Because like I said, until some shit happens, they don't want to deal with it. But now that some shit has happened, and he's not going to let it go away, man. I could just say, fuck it, I'm not talking about it. And he'd still be calling out from jail to do live streams once a week. So I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to call him El Pork Chapo. I'm going to whatever he wants to say, I'm going to lean into it. Because if there's something I learned in life, trust the dude who's in jail. Trust whatever he's saying.
Yeah.
Trust it. I'm sure it's true.
Because he's in jail.
For sure. I mean, that's the way it is. So I'm looking forward to tonight's call. He should be celebrating. He's the only person that's going to celebrate the overturning of a restraining order while he's still in jail. That
still baffles my mind that he got the restraining order overturned.
The judge refused to watch the tape of the attack, of the second attack.
So then he goes ahead and overturns.
He didn't hit her. He never hit her. That's literally the defining factor down there. Nothing else. Not the terror she was in. Not the 2 a.m. home invasion. Not hitting me with a fucking hammer.
Because he didn't lay a finger on her.
Not the 14-hour-a-day suicide threats. None of that. But he didn't hit her. I know that. But the thing is, the assault statute says fear of imminent fucking harm. But that's I don't know, man. I don't know. I just know I got to go back there. I just know this is crazy land.
Yeah.
I know I don't get hit with a hammer if this happens in Massachusetts or Rhode Island because he goes to jail Thursday.
Right.
Like, she had video of him in the apartment, and then he did too. And I even said to the cops on Thursday, he's not smart enough to realize that he's holding on to like evidence of a crime.
Right, because he filmed himself originally.
So after he got arrested for everything else, when she was able to go through his computer at home, she found the video of the fucking Thursday break-in. Because he's a fucking idiot.
Jesus.
Like, everybody wants to call me a snitch, but this shit was on 5 different fucking cameras all at once. That's like snitching on the score of a fucking soccer game.
Right, exactly.
Like, hey, bro, don't snitch on the fucking Yankee score from last night. Like, what are you talking about, bro? It was on TV. Like,
don't give me any spoilers.
I'm so fucking fed up with everything. That's why I'm on the fence about going to the gathering, because it's like there are still a small percentage of people that for whatever reason want to ride for him. I ain't got no room for that.
Right.
I don't think this reality does. And and I know people willing to act on that. So if I go, it'll be a controlled scenario.
Have you heard anything from Psychopathic?
No, hell no. They would not dare. They've never spoken on anything, have they?
No.
Not when. No time has a juggalo grabbed an axe and murdered some folk and then fucking said shit. But right now, that's not what happened. They have a guy who's currently, like, they're giving away Psychopathic merch to raise money for him. His little crew of cronies. One of those people, like, literally said, of course he did this. He's a juggalo. So people close to him are sacrificing juggalo shit on his behalf. What's good with that? Like, I thought we already decided that rap music couldn't make you stab a bunch of people.
That just blows my mind. I know, like I told you before we came on, I know you've been on a couple different interviews and shows since this, and I personally haven't listened to any of them just because I wanted to hear it for the full details for myself. I've seen the clips, I've seen the videos, I saw that night, when it got posted, I reached out to you.
This involves a weird segment of the internet that I wasn't ever involved in too.
Yeah.
So there's a whole, when this comes out as a 25-part Netflix miniseries, there's going to be a whole episode on the shit he did while I wasn't paying attention, which there's tons of weirdness. And some of it has to do with this Juggernaut thing and the people that were involved in that.
Which that still just blows my mind.
There are guys running around with Juggernaut tattoos. The Juggernaut came about because of my creation of the phrase 17%er. The Juggernaut considered themselves to be the 17%ers. Their tattoos said 70%.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. One of the guys already covered up his tattoo. I'll just say that. Like, since everything's happened with CPN. Yeah. Now, I think that, like I said, the Shane Coates dude from Mississippi is a juggalo who just got caught up in some kiddie sex stuff.
Right.
He was like close to the top rung as part of the Juggernaut. And CPN's descent into madness did not start with me coming around. It started with Shane Coates' arrest. So I've been like begging like Richmond authorities, take his computers. I've been begging Roxy, take his computers to fucking FBI. I don't know if she did or not. I don't have them. He's claiming I have them for whatever reason.
And he's got multiple computers.
Yeah. And hard drives and partitions and all sorts of things. And he thinks he's the super hacker. So God knows what's behind some fucking firewall somewhere. Like, that's what I'm saying, man.
That's some scary shit because you don't know what you're going to get when you open something up like that. With a mentality of his, you don't know what you're going to open up and find.
And his whole MO through life, and even with his wife, was to keep dossiers of blackmail information on people and shit like that. Like, his whole existence was pretty weird. Like, I'm done tangling with people like this. Leave me alone, weirdos. Like, I just want to be left alone. Like, I like the movie shit. I'd rather just do that. Like, I don't know, man. Like I said, we're gonna see what happens. This is not gonna be a quick thing.
Right.
Some of his supporters are literally like, "Oh, Chuck's gonna end up in jail and he's gonna end up out on the 12th." And I'm like, I don't see that happening, but okay.
There's no logical reason that would ever happen.
Like, I haven't been spoken to like a suspect at one. Like, I know what that sounds like.
Right.
Like, as people like to point out, I do have a criminal record, so I know what it sounds like when you're being talked to like a suspect.
But if that was the Chuck of old, when that happened, totally different outcome.
But this time, like, That's the other thing. I know a lot of people are looking at this as old Chuck versus old CPN. I don't think old CPN would have done this. I think what we're dealing with here is an individual who got so caught in an online echo chamber and then had that compounded during the pandemic. And that fucking shit broke a lot of people. Shit, the pandemic broke me mentally. I ended up in therapy at the end. Like, you know what I mean? Did a lot to a lot of us. Exposed the weaknesses and the worst parts of us.
100% agreed.
I think he's believing his own shit. And that used to always be my thing. Don't believe your own shit. Violent J never, he used to say, we're two clowns in fucking paint. What kids really believe in what we're having to say.
Right.
That kid fucking believes what you have to say.
But this kid also has followers that are believing what he's saying. So that's also feeding. That's feeding.
It's fucking weird, man. I don't get it. When I saw that sort of behavior popping up against my own fan group of people of the podcast, I broke it up. Like, I don't have moderators anymore. Like, there's not going to be a power structure within my fan base. This isn't the military. Like, all of you are pretty much equally worthless. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm not like, but like when you start getting into these weird online communities and these discords, which I'm just now learning about Discord and what a fucking toxic wasteland that fucking place is.
I still don't even know what the fucking Discord is.
Like, it's a little too dark web for me, but I found out they're definitely working with the authorities. So it's not like that fucking shit's secure if you thought it was secure. Anybody out there? But I know you were one of the first people to ask me to come talk about it, and you would have even gotten a shorter version of the story. Because like I said, there were things we found out, things I found out, things he's saying and in these phone calls that are like,
right.
Like, damn, who's your fucking lawyer?
Well, I mean, primarily I wanted to talk with you earlier on when I reached out, just to, in case you needed your name to be cleared for anything.
No, that's the thing. Everybody was saying shit about that. And I was like, look, I'm the only one here that's not in jail. And I'm the only one who got hurt.
Right. But I didn't know the whole backstory of everything. So, you and I are friends. We've crossed paths, that we mentioned before earlier in the show. And, I don't want to see bad shit happen to you because of what this fucking, for lack of a better words, clown is doing. So that's why I reached out so early. But you're like, no, let's wait a few weeks.
I was fucked up. I'm still a little fucked up.
And I get it.
I'm getting better about it, but like, it's more or less coming to the realization that, like, because there's things I'm not talking about. Like, he made a rape threat against me during the boasting of the first attack, and then came and attacked me again. So
of you?
Yeah.
A rape?
Yeah.
To you?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then came and fought me. And like, because he said, if we fight again, I'm gonna fuck you in the ass. I'm making my bitch. And then he came and picked a fight with me. So take that for whatever you want. Like, I don't know what you'd call that. I don't know what the law is gonna call that. But at some point too, they're coming to the realization of how much he tried to use the law as a weapon against his wife. And they don't like that very much.
No,
they really aren't liking that very much. So,
do they have kids?
No, thank fucking God.
Thank God he didn't.
Well, no, that's the thing too, is I'm coming to grips with that. Is not my girlfriend. That is not my daughter. It's not my wife. It's not somebody I'm going to end up with, presumably. I don't have a personal stake in their marriage. I didn't. That's why I was keeping this a secret.
Right.
Because I didn't have a personal stake in the marriage or in his defeat. Like, his defeat was not part of my grand plan. If I don't know how we got here, but we did. Like, I didn't want for this fucking shit. Like, we did everything we could. That's the thing I want people to realize, because he's saying things like we flaunted it. Like, he's saying that directly. Like, that we were online flaunting the fact we were hanging out. Quite the contrary, Mr. Sir.
I've been following you for how many years now?
Quite the contrary, Mr. Sir. Like, we did everything we could not to. Like, and then the first anybody heard about it was out of your mouth.
Yeah.
So who was flaunting it? Was it because I called you out on the narcissistic crazy abuse you were putting her through?
Right. And now he's looking for a way to get back.
But, I mean, I don't think he stops either. Like, I keep asking them about, like, has a doctor talked to him?
I mean, seriously,
like,
there's something.
Yeah, like, if this is the world he's living in, if this is his reality, then
maybe he should be committed.
I'm not. Yeah.
I mean, maybe here in Massachusetts, you make that many suicide attempts, you're going to get committed for at least 48 hours.
I don't understand. Like, this is going to end up being some weird defense that we ain't never heard of. Because then, they're talking about other things now, like the same people that were egging him on with the hammer. Some of those people were on the phone with him in between the attacks, right? They knew what he was going to get ready to do. And then they were watching the second attack. at what point does that become a mob? If you bring the same people with you, he didn't come alone.
Right.
He brought a bunch of people egging him on. So, like, at what point do they start looking at that as a mob?
Did he come alone? Did he come alone for that home invasion? The second, second break-in?
No, but he was live streaming to the same group of people, some of which he had just been on the phone with, telling them what he was coming to do. So, at what point do the people online, like the FBI, already has a list? They had a list of, here's the people that were tuned in to the Hammer, here's the people that were tuned in to the home invasion live, and then they deconflicted that list. Here's the people that were tuned into both.
Yep.
And then they had a list of, and here's the 5 people we know he spoke to all 3 times. And those people are now actively taking calls from him and helping him further all this with these live streams from jail.
And what's the FBI standpoint on doing that?
Nothing. They didn't tell me shit. They called me in to let me know to watch my back, essentially.
That's it.
They're not in the people protection business. And I quote, we're not in the people protection business. I was like, what? Thanks for telling me that they're planning to harm me. Like, it's funny that the FBI can tell me stuff that the local, like, with what he's saying in the open. I suggested to the Commonwealth's attorney that he listen to the other phone calls that aren't public, like, knowledge yet.
Right. And
it's been 3 weeks and he hasn't gotten to listen to one call. Well, I got to listen to a call because the FBI had it. That blows my fucking mind. They can't charge him for this call because it's not a crime federally. It's a crime statewide right now. So I'm like, okay, well, that means they have to listen to the call. Well, we can tell you, but we can't go tell them to listen to the call.
What?
Why? Oh, because y'all got the call illegally. That's what I think. But I don't know because, like I said, I don't know. The fact that CPN was on every fucking major periodical the day after the fucking Juggalo March with a sign that said the FBI listens to Nickelback. You think that might have something to do with why they might have been watching him and his organization?
You would think so.
Like, maybe they just waiting for him to trip up. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Like I said, I don't know what's going on.
How much more can he trip up?
They're letting him make these phone calls.
I mean, look what he did.
And he's making statements in these phone calls from jail that are going to lead to them upgrading his charges. Because since he's been in jail, he made the statement that during the second attack, had his wife not intervened, he was going to kill me. That upgrades that from an assault and battery to something else.
Premeditated murder.
You know what I'm saying? And then, I keep getting asked to tell the story in here. And the version of the story he's telling, like, over the phone to them is like that he was there to terrorize us. Bro, you're copping to felony still on the air.
There's fucking video.
Like, that's what I'm saying. But, like, the wheels of justice are fucking super slow. And apparently justice ain't got Wi-Fi. Because I had a conversation with an SVU detective. Well, can you explain to me what happened? Well, yeah, that I could. Or you can go watch it. We got 5 fucking camera angles. Why do I have to tell you anything? Well, you got to tell me. And then based on what you tell me, I'm going to decide whether there's enough to go watch the video.
Just go watch the fucking video.
Nah, that's not how they do business, man. So understand my frustration. I've been lashing out at certain folk that don't deserve it. I've been lashing out at fucking poor fucking Roxy. She definitely don't fucking deserve it.
Right.
But like there's been times where I'm like, well, nobody's doing anything. And that's right. Nobody's doing anything because nobody's doing anything and there's no explanation. So it is what it is, man. Like, I just know I got a long fucking journey in front of me with this bullshit. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think it's over. Not by a fucking long shot. Because he keeps talking about there's way more of this Lifetime movie on these jail calls. But I'm not involved, man. My involvement of this, like I said, 2 months. 2 months from today is when, or 2 months ago today was the first time I ever met her. A month ago today was when I got hit with the hammer. So all this other crazy shit, the 20 hours of abusive fucking tape that's been released of him, other accusations from people that have been coming out since he's been in jail, all this shit has nothing to do with me. But I'm being lumped in with it and fucking attacked by his people, which is fine. I'm used to it.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to be. That's such bullshit.
But it is what it is. I mean, and then I assume, like, it caught the Juggalo eye real quickly because of who was involved. And you saw what happened with the memes and shit. And we know that when there's a weird story you hear about without tape, without fucking 3 camera angles,
right,
that shit goes viral. So what happens in this case when it really gets out there on the 12th, when the first news broadcast goes out in Richmond describing what he did? And then the general public goes, I can go on YouTube and watch this dude commit home invasion and get choked out by a dude who looks like a fucking gremlin with a beard. Like, that's cool. Like, and then what's going to happen then?
Right.
And then everybody's going to know about the thing he said about my daughter. And she's getting ready to go into high school. She doesn't need that.
No, God,
summer
no.
between 8th and 9th grade. She ain't need that.
No.
So, like,
and the fact that you held your cool on that aspect when you were, and I heard that.
I just got hit with a hammer.
I know, but I heard it and I was like,
and there's my proof again. I had no interest in fighting that dude. He's fucking big. Like, I got little fucking.
But you still choked him out.
Well, yeah, but like, that's what I would do. Like, I said it. That wasn't to hurt him. It was to restrain him.
Right.
At no point did I throw a punch. At no point did he catch a knee.
Yep.
Did I try to take his fucking eye out of his fucking socket? Because to be honest with you, when he showed up and he said what he said about, if you hit me, you're going to jail, I was like, he's probably right. With the way the cops had fucking dealt with everything up to that point,
you were probably going to jail.
I was acting as if I was in crazy land. Okay, we're in crazy land then. I can't hit him. But I was going to act in the defense of somebody else. And it's funny. I fucking wish I knew exactly when it happened. I do have to go see the Fall River district attorney about this. It was pre-COVID, I don't know, maybe 19. Dude beating up his girlfriend at Dunkin' Donuts parking lot on a Sunday morning. Okay, about your size.
Jesus.
He got the same treatment. I come running up, spider monkey him.
Yep.
I'm on his back. We're on the ground, full rotation, and I held him until the cops got there. Way longer than I held Fat Boy.
Yep.
Like, they were going to charge me with strangulation for that. That's the other thing I'm pissed off about. The fucking cops were like, well, you're lucky you don't get charged with strangulation. For what? For using the least amount of violence I could to restrain a 400-pound man? Like, I'm a disabled veteran. I have 4 active hernias in my gut. Like, I have no business wrestling with that fucking dude.
Right, exactly.
Like, I had no interest. Like, I had no interest at all. Like, none. So, we're going to see what happens. It's certainly funny, though. I keep thinking of it in terms of that, where it's like, well, if it happened to anybody else, it'd be funny.
Yeah, but it's still a situation nobody should be in.
And it's so weird that, like, people near me don't know, like, people close to me don't know what to say. They don't know what to ask. They don't know what the fuck's going on. Even my therapist was like, what do you want me to do? I don't know. Help me? Like, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I'm doing better, but it's fucking weird, man. And like I said, I'm looking for, like, on the ride home, I'm probably going to get to listen to him calling from jail. And I'm like, how is it? Like, I remember jail. Wasn't like it is now. He's got like a tablet in there.
What?
Yeah. I don't fucking know what's going on, man. I don't know what kind of jail this is.
Jesus Christ.
Like, what kind of fucking, I don't know. But, I mean, I'm sticking by what I said initially. If he needs help, I hope he's getting it. But I don't think he is, man.
No, he definitely needs to see some sort of row of doctors to see what's going up in that head of his.
Yeah, he's not connected to this reality. And it's a mixture of things, for sure. But one of them was the march, man. I got to think that. Like, the march itself created these cracks where people were able to get filtered into the subculture and were elevated. They had an opinion about one thing. Everything else about that person was ignored.
Right.
You know, and it happened the other way, too. There are people, Roxy would probably say the same thing. When she met me, she realized that what she knew of me was this one thing. And when you learn about the rest, it's like, oh, well, that one thing's not important at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But I wish him well, to be honest. I wish him well, and I hope the justice system of the Commonwealth of Virginia operates to its fullest extent.
100%.
They're paying to have me come back. That's how this goes. I've never been the victim of nothing like this. So apparently they were like going to fly me.
Wow.
I'm going to drive so I can take a vacation and afterward, and I'm going to go down there and whatever, fucking stay in a hotel and maybe get to go to King's Dominion this time. I don't know what the fuck. It's such a fucking weird situation, man.
Yeah, I can't even put myself in your shoes to be going through all this.
Like, I'm half tempted to send it to Turtle Boy just to be like, yo, can you make it hesitant? But the Turtle Boy's gonna be like, it's fake. That's the other thing. A lot of people are going, it's fake because It's so well captured.
Yep.
And he didn't go to jail on Thursday. The fact that he didn't go to jail during any of the escalations.
That's the shit kicker. That's where it is.
I think they're opening themselves up to liability. At least that's what I hope my civil attorney says. Because plus them letting him out. He had 5 contacts with the police before he hit me with the hammer that weekend. None of that was taken into consideration before they let him out. And then on the way out, I guess he told them that he intended on going to her house. And they told him it was okay. So at some point, somebody's getting fucking sued.
Mm-hmm.
Because the first thing out of his mouth when they clicked the cup second time was, "But you told me I could come here." Because they were interpreting the law wrong. That the fact he wasn't on the lease was not being taken into consideration. But now that it is being taken into consideration, they're adding charges after the fact.
Jeez.
But tonight he's probably gonna be like, "Yeah, man, I'm just hanging out. They told me I could leave the jail anytime I want since I'm not even under arrest no more." I bet you that's what he says.
So what is he calling on his YouTube channel?
He's calling to one of his cronies, one of his fucking one of his homeboys' YouTube channel, and then those calls are being broadcast.
Gotcha.
The last 3 weeks it's happened. And I know he still has a phone. Like, it's funny. That's the thing what I mean about there are all these different departments. So I'm done talking to the police. I haven't talked to the police in fucking weeks because they're just dumb. I'm talking to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, Victim Witness Department, whatever the fuck that is. He's convinced that there's been some fucking rule or law broken with these phone calls. But the cops are listening to the calls and determining no fucking crimes are occurring. And then he's calling the jail and saying, "You got somebody violating your own things here. Why haven't you taken his phone away?" And he's just not getting an answer. And these people are all in the same state. It's so disjointed. I don't know how they do business. It's a Commonwealth. We're also, isn't this a Commonwealth?
Yeah, we're a Commonwealth. It's
not that fucked up here.
No, not that I know of.
I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I don't know, but
I just know I'm angry about it. I just know this Faygo cotton candy was way better than that story.
Faygo cotton candy brought to you by our partners and sponsors here at Kicks of the Day Plymouth. Again, grab all your rare shit, rare snacks, rare cereals, rare shoes. Check them out. Instagram, Kicks of the Day Plymouth.
Did you know that in North Korea that there's a Dorito that tastes like squid ink? Now you do.
Oh, mind blown.
Did you know that in Mexico there are Starbursts that taste like cervezas?
Oh, Chuck, that was a lot.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, I don't know how you're doing it, but I wish you the best going through all this.
Hey, man.
I know
it pays off, so we'll see.
Like you said, I hope he's getting help he's gonna need, because there's something definitely wrong in that nugget.
He's not gonna survive at this point, he's not even in real jail. When he gets into real jail, especially in Virginia, he's not gonna be able to act this way.
Oh no. I mean, I don't know. I've never been I can't say yay or nay on that.
They have a tendency of socially straightening people out.
And then I'm assuming if they find certain things on his hard drives and computers.
That's what he said.
Yeah, that alone.
Once the video of him saying what he said about my daughter gets on the local news there and gets played in a cell block, he's gonna have some questions to answer. Yeah, and I'm not the one asking them.
Right.
So enjoy your time in jail that you've had, because I know for the past 3 weeks he was in a quarantine mod because he was sick.
Okay.
And then he got moved to what's basically an open bay, an open bay kind of situation at a newer jail. But I don't know. That's more
like a Gen Pop.
No, an open bay. Gen Pop would be cells with
right.
But they're in a dorm.
Really?
With just beds.
That's odd.
So think boot camp, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Full Metal Jacket kind of style.
Yep.
That's what I thought. But I know the jail he got moved to is a newer jail, a nicer jail, and it's more of a medical jail. So maybe he's been moved, and that's why he's getting privileges
for medical reasons.
Yeah, maybe he's just in the med ward and they just think he's fucking crazy and sick, and they're just letting him talk and not realizing that he's got a fucking army of fucking crazy people that are fulfilling his bidding. He called them his flying monkeys. That's what he used to refer to them as.
The flying monkeys.
Yeah. They go out to do his bidding. They're the people that are sending emails to fucking people that I'm trying to do business with, making up crazy accusations.
And how much do you find yourself defending yourself because of that?
Too much. And that's why I'm almost done with it. That's why once the 12th comes along and once like the news gets a hold, that's the only thing I'm looking forward to as far as like the mass media explosion that might happen because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that once the true story is out there and it's like, well, this is what the news is saying. He can fake news it all he wants.
Yeah.
I don't have to fucking, with your average person, I'm no longer going to have to fight the battle. So it is what it is.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The videos out there. You can go YouTube it. Child Plays Ninja, CPN, Child Play Ninja. Go YouTube it. If you want to see it, see the video, see for yourself. This shit's legit. Chuck's legit. You know.
It's fucking captivating. Like if I wasn't
grab some fucking
involved,
popcorn and go and go watch.
If I wasn't the dude in the video, like you know what I mean? Like
right.
Like so we know some internet fucking notoriety. So like I don't know, maybe you don't know him. Blake Boston.
Doesn't sound
all right. So I have a friend named Blake Boston from the Worcester area. He used to rap under the name BZB.
Okay.
No, sorry, not BZB. That was his rap homie. A picture that his mother took of him leaving the house became the meme that everybody knows is Scumbag Steve. You remember Scumbag Steve? The hat,
Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That ruined his fucking life.
Oh, I'm sure.
That kid didn't do nothing wrong. He didn't do nothing wrong. So I know what this can do to somebody if it's not properly checked. So like I'm just doing my best to get a hold of it. I think I look all right. I clearly didn't ask for any of this.
Like, no, and, if you ask for this, then we got to go see something.
The only thing I asked for was after he hit me for the hammer, hit me with the hammer. There is this video of me in the street going, "Hey man, I got bail. If you want to come out here and we can just finish up."
And that's when he went to the porch.
Yeah, and he wouldn't go on the porch. So it's like, all right, well, clearly this was never about you just throwing hands at fucking 400 pounds. Like that's the other thing. You know me, I'm not really afraid of much, especially if at your size, that size, you pull a weapon on me. Oh, you're fucking afraid, bro. That was also the thing with my daughter was a fear move. All that shit was based on him being scared.
Right.
So I can recognize that. I ain't afraid of that. That's why I posted up on the couch. I was like, fuck you, call. Like, I'd rather, at that point, I wanted him to call the cops. Because I was hoping that if he called the cops trying to trespass me, they would tell him he would have to leave.
Right.
But he, like I said, he wasn't interested in that. He was interested in having this second physical altercation on video in an attempt to get his whatever back. And he fucking blew up in his face wearing a Chuck Reeves backpack. Looking like Yoda, fucking, go to sleep, you must. Looking like Yoda on a fat Luke Skywalker and shit. Like, I can't believe it. His fucking forearm is bigger than my thigh. I watched the video. I'm so detached from it.
I've seen some video of his where he's like laying on the couch talking to his fucking cronies or whatever. I'm like, you're a big guy. And the shit that he's saying is like, I can't.
Now, my thing is I quit smoking.
Good for you.
Back during the pandemic, thank God, because I probably would have gotten clipped by the pandemic had I not done it. And my overall physical health has been better, like since then. That dude still chain smokes.
Oh yeah, I see him on his video.
Cigarettes during a video. I don't do that anymore. Like I'm barely smoking actual weed. I smoke a lot of dabs now. Like without that, I'm pretty sure I'm dead too. You know, yep. my advantages in the situation. If I had any. In those second set of blows and allow me to get my bearings back and get up underneath them the way I did. And thank you, Raya. Thank you, Raya, for not killing me. You fucking uncoordinated Pooh Bear piece of shit. Like, it is what it is. We all survive. I'm not afraid of an L.
That's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It is. It's
exhausting too.
You're trying to think about it on my end, and it just
several parts don't make any sense.
No, a lot of it doesn't make sense.
If you've lived in a northern state that have progressive laws in terms of women's liberation and fucking women's like protection, like here, if there's y'all screamed at each other too loud, you're both going to jail. Like they do not fucking play around.
Right, exactly.
Where we live. So Thursday when I forced her to call the cops and they didn't do anything.
I can imagine the look on your face.
Like fucking I short circuited. I had an argument. That's the other thing. When these, because I'm going to end up having to FOIA request them or somebody's going to have to, because I think you have to be a Virginia resident. But I can get all the videos associated with this from the cops' perspective, as well as the whatever 911 calls. I never made any of the calls. Call me a snitch all you want. Call me a cop caller. I never did. The arguments I got into Thursday, Friday, and Sunday prior to talking about the hammer hit, I want to see those.
Yeah.
Because she got upset with me because she was afraid, well, the cops are going to take you to jail for arguing with them. I'm like, that's not how this fucking works. like that's, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, she's abused, not just by her husband,
right,
but by the criminal justice system through those DUIs I spoke about, so she's used to being treated like dick. And it's like, no, I'm at this point, I got a clean license. I got a clean, you know, I'm not completely clean, but my fucking background's been clean for 12 years. My veteran status is good. I think I've deserved the ability to be assertive with my rights.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't think the police are doing their job, I'm gonna be assertive with it. And if they hang up on me, they're gonna have to explain that to my civil attorney later, because I'm not the bad guy here, regardless of how I sound on the phone, which I'm sure that's added a level of communication breakdown, because I'm sure they don't like the way people like us up here sound.
Probably not.
And I had somebody tell me that.
Yeah.
So that's also adding a level to this, where I'm sure they don't like hearing the sound of my voice, but they're going to hear it. Every time he makes a phone call, they get a voicemail and a sternly worded email about the continued abuse I'm suffering at the hands of what they're calling the Hammer Gang.
Jeez. This fucking guy.
Anyway. I'm real sorry for dragging your show down.
No, this is what we want. This is what I want.
I'm souped about these pizza Doritos. I'm taking these, right?
Yeah, those are yours.
Right, good.
Yeah.
I thought that was a prop for a second.
No.
Be like, I'm about to call him out.
That's a care package from Malcolm, the owner here over at Kicks of the Day.
I need something to jack up my fucking serotonin after that fucking shit. I'm over here sweating. Got one light all in my eyes. I feel like I'm being. I know what it feels like to be interrogated.
Chuck, thank you for coming down, making the drive, man. I really appreciate it. It's been a long time since we got to.
Yeah, man, we never did
chop
this
it
before.
up. I know.
I've brought you a couple of people, and salute to you, man. Continuing to change, continuing to evolve as the times need to, with the rebrands and everything.
Yeah, appreciate
You've never
that.
been afraid to not even start over, but just scratch some shit out and write some new shit on top of it. And sometimes that's what you got to fucking do. So it's good to see, and I like the store. I'm definitely gonna be back. I need shoes.
Yeah, store's awesome. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, the rebrand was great to open up some different doors that weren't open before, whether it was because of the name of the company or whatever the case was. But you know, I'm happy about it, and things are moving along. So
hey, man, it takes 20 years to make an overnight success.
You know,
I always remember that.
And we're still plugging away. We're still hustling. Check out Chuck Reeves online. What is it?
Beard Speaks on YouTube.
Beard Speaks, yep.
Beard Speaks on you, or Chuck Reeves. If you put in Chuck Reeves Hammer right now,
you're gonna pop up everywhere.
You're gonna fall down a rabbit hole that ends in the Fago Den. That's all I know. That's all I know.
On that note, Chuck, thank you so much.
Hey,
we will be in contact soon.
Okay.
Everybody else, make sure you check us out. MediaByDiggs.com. Recap of this show will be put up on all of social media on MediaByDiggs.com and on all Spotify, iTunes, all the good podcasting sites out there as well, where you can listen to this and make your judgments for yourself. But go watch the videos.
Stay tuned. Shit ain't over like that, not by any means. It's like Tiger King Day 1.
Be on the lookout for more. Chuck, thank you again. We'll chat with you soon. Thanks, guys.